Hello. If you are with me live, put yes in the chat. If you're with me live, put yes in the chat. We are about to start day 2. Amazing. We are about to start day 2 of the 4-day LinkedIn Growth Masterclass. And what we will learn today is how to master LinkedIn newsletters. So, just first and foremost, I want to get a read of the room. If you currently have a LinkedIn newsletter, put 1 in the chat. If you do not have a LinkedIn newsletter, put 2 in the chat. And you will definitely learn everything that you need to know about LinkedIn newsletters today, as well as maybe even launching your LinkedIn newsletter. If you already have a LinkedIn newsletter, you will learn maybe how to improve yours. I'll look at a few of your LinkedIn newsletter articles towards the end of the masterclass, and we'll go from there. So first and foremost, make sure that you have a notepad, because if the replay is available for a little bit after this, it will only be for a little bit. Yesterday's replay was already taken down. So you want a notepad. You want to be in a comfortable environment where you can focus, and you want to actually put what you learned today into action. And we'll start very shortly. So again, as you're joining us, put 1 or 2 in the chat, depending. If you have a LinkedIn newsletter, put 1 in the comments. If you do not have a LinkedIn newsletter, put 2 in the comments. And then as you see here, thank you for joining us today. All questions will be covered at the end of the class. So as we're going through the lesson today, make sure that you put whatever questions you have in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer all of your questions towards the end of today's masterclass. So today is day 2 of the 4-day LinkedIn Growth Masterclass. Today we are going to learn everything that there is to know that is relevant and practical, and what I think you should know to master LinkedIn newsletters. Now, if you know what a LinkedIn newsletter is, put 1 in the chat. If you have no idea, put 2. And if there were a lowest hanging fruit for you to leverage LinkedIn that could give you a huge opportunity, I would say that it is LinkedIn newsletters. And the reason is because what LinkedIn newsletters allows you to do is to never have to depend on the algorithm. And I'm going to say that again. What LinkedIn newsletters allows you to do is to never have to depend on the algorithm to a certain extent. The reason why I say that is because when you publish an article on LinkedIn under the umbrella of your newsletter, it will not only be published on LinkedIn, so it's going to be published as an article on LinkedIn, but it will be also emailed by LinkedIn on your behalf to every single one of your LinkedIn newsletter subscribers. So now you're not just reaching people on the platform. People are getting notified that you published an article on the platform, but now they're able to be reached through the inbox. And the power of this cannot be underestimated. So do we understand? Put power in the comments in the chat if you understand that this, you could reach people directly in their inbox. The power of LinkedIn doing this on your behalf is that LinkedIn is a verified company, trusted source. And so the deliverability, the number of people that are going to, number 1, receive the email, and then number 2, open it, is very high compared to maybe a private email list that's just starting out. And so on average, our clients get around a 40 or 50% open rate on the releases of their LinkedIn newsletter, which is very high. Okay. Now, let's start from the very beginning, because where most people go wrong is the beginning. And then what we will do, so we'll go through how to think about your LinkedIn newsletter, how to launch your LinkedIn newsletter, what mistakes people make along the way. And then I'm going to show you different types of LinkedIn newsletters that fulfill the trust equation that we were able to look at yesterday, which fulfills credibility. Basically, you're proving over and over again that you are who you say that you are and that you know what you're talking about, that you give people results. Reliability, which is the consistency, and then intimacy, which is that vulnerability factor. So if you're ready to start, put start in the chat. We'll start with, thinking about what you need before launch and then going through the steps to actually launch your LinkedIn newsletter and how it works, how you get subscribers and all the things. Okay. Okay, perfect. Let me share my screen here. So you should see this. So number one, let's go over what you need to launch your LinkedIn newsletter. You're going to need at least 150 connections or followers. And put the number of followers that you have in the chat. And then what you will need is a title, and you will need a photo of yourself. Use the same photo. If you're going to launch a personal profile LinkedIn newsletter, I would advise keeping the same image that you have as your profile photo. Image same as profile. So on your personal LinkedIn newsletter, do not launch anything with a logo or, with some other random profile photo, because people may not recognize you, and you'll understand why that's important in a second. So, and let me see kind of the average of the connections and followers here. 30K, 3750. A lot of you have quite a few followers and connections. So this is really good. When you launch, if you have, let's say, 10,000 followers, on average, I'd say 25%. So 25% should become subscribers. So when anyone launches their LinkedIn newsletter, all of your followers will get the opportunity to become subscribers. They automatically get this invite from LinkedIn. So not only is this free, not only is LinkedIn willing to send you the articles, send your subscribers the articles via email for free, but also the growth is built on your network. So once you publish your first one, we're going to go through those steps. All of your followers will get an automatic invite to subscribe. So it's not that much work on your part. Okay. If you have 10,000 followers, you should get 2,500 subscribers. The only time where this may not be the case is if you have built up your network over time, and then you've completely ghosted your community, they forgot who you are, and now you're sending them an invitation to subscribe, you may get closer to 10% conversion rate, which would be around 1,000 subscribers. Now, the more that you kind of lead up to your newsletter launch with posting, so someone, let's say, who's been posting for the last 3 months or 6 months pretty consistently, they will have more of their followers end up subscribing than someone who's kind of just been a ghost. Does this make sense? Put yes in the chat if this makes sense. Put yes in the chat. So it's less about the number of followers that you have. Yes, that matters, but it also matters how engaged they are, because that will really set the stage for the percentage that initially subscribe. Now, just because you have an initial subscription boost does not mean that your newsletter cannot continue to grow. So we have some clients that their newsletter grows upward of 50% or more of their followers. So they could have 10,000 followers and their newsletter is niche, relates to their followers, gets shared, spreads so much that they could have anywhere between 5,000 or 7,000 plus subscribers. Does this make sense? Put yes in the chat. The other beautiful thing that happens is that when you have a newsletter, all of the content, which will be focused on tomorrow, that you post in your feed, so your polls, your videos, your short videos, your text posts, your images, your carousels, whatever, all of those posts that potentially bring new people to your profile, when a new person lands on your profile, they will also get an opportunity to subscribe to your newsletter. So if you're a random stranger to me, I see some of your content, it's interesting, I click on your profile, maybe I connect with you, I follow you. LinkedIn, within the mechanism of LinkedIn, just on your behalf, helps you grow your newsletter by then sending that person this little notification that says, would you also like to subscribe to Sally's newsletter, blah, blah, blah. And it happens automatically. Is that understood? So after the initial launch, the way that you grow your newsletter, it's not a secret. It's creating quality content that gets shared to more people. And then the second thing is growing your following, which is what we're going to be focused on tomorrow with the content in the feed. So put a 1 in the comments if you understand this so far. So how to grow, new followers. Every new follower also gets an invite to subscribe. Now, where people go wrong is at the launch. So let's talk about the newsletter launch. You're going to need a title, an image, and the title needs to be clear. Okay. We also need to title this based on what we talked about yesterday, which is the one goal, the one person, the one place. Where most people go wrong is that they'll title it something cute or something that makes absolutely no sense for whoever they want to subscribe. And this is a huge mistake, because if the wrong people subscribe when you launch, then the wrong people are going to continue to get your articles in their emails. And then you won't be that surprised if then people aren't taking action on your call to action. Or maybe they are, but they're the wrong audience. Does this make sense? And I'm going to show you an example of this in real time. So let me see. So by now we all should have received, some invites that look like this. So these are all the LinkedIn newsletter launch invites that I've received like in the past 3 weeks. Okay. Now, when we look at some of these titles, some of them are very general and some of them are niche. And the more niche or specific the title, the more I know what it's about, who it's for, all of the things. So I have no idea what good work is. And because I have no idea what good work is, I'm going to ignore. Stoic leadership lens. I'm assuming that this is like how to lead through stoicism and things like that. Sure. Like I had a minor in philosophy, like I'll kind of read about that. Growth through collaboration. It's kind of very general. The best Singapore news weekly. That's very specific. I'm not in Singapore and I don't have clients in Singapore. And it's just not something that I'm interested in, but it is very specific in that if I wanted the best Singapore news weekly, I would know that that's exactly for me. So when you title your newsletter, the person who you're trying to attract to get to read your content should instantly know whether that's for them or not. The title should not be cute. Put 1 in the chat if you understand this. And I'll get to all of your questions towards the end of the masterclass. Now, the only time that I would say, okay, a general title is okay, is if a CEO or some board director, serial entrepreneur comes to me They're not looking to necessarily get clients from LinkedIn. They've already made it. They're already wealthy and they want more influence. In that case, sure, just talk about health, mindset, productivity tips, life lessons, whatever, because that's a mass play. They may be writing a book that then they will launch through their LinkedIn newsletter to become a bestseller, right? But they are appealing to the masses for a reason. If you are still in business building mode, then you should appeal to the person that we defined yesterday. To put yes in the chat if you are in agreement with this. Okay. Yes in the chat. Now, the reason also why I say use the same image as the one on your profile picture is because, like, I know Charles. So because I immediately recognize Charles, I know that he's doing a mass play. He also sent me like a great testimonial about his newsletter launch and how good it was. I'm going to click accept. I may even know some of these people, but they may be using a different picture. And so just make it easier for me to be able to recognize you. And you do that by using the same picture. Okay. So the other limit here is that your LinkedIn newsletter title can only be 30 characters or less. All right. 30 characters or less. All right. So if you were to launch your LinkedIn newsletter, all you would do is you go to your feed and you see where it says write article. Okay, you would click write article. Now up here, you see where it says manage. So manage, and then you would click create newsletter. Once you click create newsletter, this page is going to pop up. And then you're going to be able to put newsletter title in here, the frequency of how often you're going to publish, which I highly recommend weekly. And I have some tools that make that easier for you that I'll put on display in a second. And then just put a brief 1-sentence description. You cannot put a book here. Okay. So let's look at maybe some good and bad newsletter titles. If I wanted to, let's say my one person is a CEO or a founder, we'll say a founder that wants to start doing live video. Generally, like, social media tips weekly would be like terrible, because just because they want to do live video doesn't mean they want social media tips weekly. This is very general. This doesn't even say who it's for or what I'm going to be talking about in particular. That would be like tier 1 of terrible idea. Okay. Tier 2 would be, like live video tips weekly. Okay. Well, that's what it's about, but it doesn't really define who it's for within the 30 characters. Does this make sense? And so ideally, you want to define not just what it's about, but who it's for. So I could say live video for founders, live video marketing. And I can't do marketing. So live video tips for founders. Okay. Now they know, okay, live video, and then it's for me if I'm a founder. So if they have zero interest in live video, or they don't recognize themselves as a founder or as a business owner, whatever, then they will probably not click accept. Does this make sense? Put a big yes in the chat if this makes sense. So I should read your title and it should be that clear. Then down here, I could be like, very simply, I'm going to share weekly tips for founders to start and grow with live video. And so you want to keep it one sentence. And then all I would do is upload the same image as my profile photo and click done. Yes? Big yes. Okay, perfect. Now, once I click done, I would be redirected to a page like this. And this is very critical to understand. Just because I would click done and create a newsletter does not mean that it has launched. Okay. So once you go back to the screen, if you've created it successfully, I would have seen like live video tips for founders up here and then a blank canvas here. So not until I publish the first LinkedIn article within the newsletter do I actually launch it, and does the trigger actually go to all of my followers. Put one in the chat if this makes sense, because I see a lot of people, they'll create their newsletter, but they won't activate the trigger because they didn't publish the first article within the newsletter. Put a one in the chat. I'm going to wait for like 25 ones. The 30 character limit is by LinkedIn. As you can see, like I couldn't type anymore. Okay. Keep going for one. So what I don't want you to do is get stuck with thinking that you need to win like the Nobel Peace Prize with your first article, and you don't. Because remember, the first article is not going to the emails. Does this make sense? So the first article just activates the trigger. And then from there, it's really the second article that's like the first one that all of the subscribers are also going to receive in their inbox. So we've created some tools for you that are going to be available. And we have one of them is called the LinkedIn Newsletter Launch GPT. So I'm going to show you how this will work. Okay. So here you would just click it, and then you're going to say, okay, launch my newsletter. It's going to ask you some questions. So I'm going to say, so it's asking me, okay, what's the title of your newsletter? And what this particular GPT tool will do is write the first article within your newsletter launch. And this is based on frameworks that we've used for hundreds of clients at this point. So I'm going to put live video tips for founders. If your title is too general, it will actually be like, no, maybe that's not a good idea. Okay. So now it's asking me a little bit more specific, like who am I writing for? First time, like what type of founder? It needs to understand, and this is actually really good because it will force you to define who it is that you defined yesterday during day one. And I'm going to say establish bootstrap founders, CEOs who have been in business going all in on their personal brand. So I'm just going to explain a little of who it is. Got it. They've built something sustainable. Yep. Okay. What are the 3 things that I'll share about? I'm going to say how I grew my brand with live video, how to start going live on video on LinkedIn, and then I'll say like how to repurpose live video content for long form videos, short form videos, and newsletters. And it's going to say perfect. This is what I'll share. Da, 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 da. What's my call to action? This is very important. I want you to write this down on your notepad. And for some of you who already have newsletter articles, if I look at them towards the end of the masterclass, the first thing I'm going to look at is there a call to action? Never publish a LinkedIn newsletter without a call to action. Never put CTA in the comments. Never publish a LinkedIn newsletter without a call to action. Okay. And then here I'm going to say, go to go.club for the next masterclass. So I'm just going to give the call to action. Even if you don't have a landing page, you could say personal message me on LinkedIn. Okay. So here it is. It's writing the launch newsletter that I would create, which is like, hey, I'm excited to be launching. The name of this newsletter is Live Video Tips. This is why I'm creating it now. This is what I'll share in the upcoming weeks. And I've spent, 3 years perfecting my approach to live video. I'm excited to share strategies that I've found, and that's it. Because this one is just the trigger that's going to then most of your followers won't even read this, because all they're going to see is a little green invite that we saw, and they're going to either click ignore or accept. So it's not really the first one, it's just the launch one. Okay, yes, we understand this. Okay. So then what I would do is I would just perfect this a little bit and I would publish it. So I'll copy this. I'd go to LinkedIn. All right. And then you just make it look nice. You put the title up here. Okay, looks good. Get rid of this. And then put your name. Your name here. And so all I would need is a thumbnail. And then I would click next and launch. And in this bundle dashboard that we have for you, we also have that. So I have a thumbnail template. Very simple. Let's use template for new design. And all you would have to do is drag your picture here. So pretend that, that there was no picture. You just upload and drag it. And then live video tips for founders. I could even change the font. Okay. And I'm not trying to make this look like I'm not a graphic designer. It looks good enough. And then what I would do is download. So this is page 2. Once it's downloaded, go back here. Upload. And within how many minutes was this? 5 minutes? We have a newsletter launch ready. Here you will want to put your name. So your name and then title. And then what you will do is you will click next. And then you'll click this very scary button called publish. And it's okay. You could take a breath before you click that button. And then when you click that button, all of your followers will get the opportunity to subscribe. All right. So that's the launch one. Now, the real question is, well, what do I publish? If I'm going to be publishing weekly, what do I publish? Right? Or if I'm going to be publishing every other week, then what are some of the other things that I could publish? Does that make sense? Now, before we go into that, once you publish, you will also, you'll go to your profile, and then you'll see that it's featured in your featured section. But there's also, if you have this on posts, there's also a way where if you look at your activity and you click this pencil, I'm going to change this to posts. So right now, like when people go to my profile, they'll see the posts. But if I click the pencil and I change it to newsletter, then the newsletters are highlighted. So you want to do this once you have your newsletter and once you're publishing weekly, because when people click it, then they'll see like a whole library of resources that you have published. And this is where the credibility factor comes in, because it's kind of almost like a YouTube library where they could go back and learn from you and see the history of what you've published. Does this make sense? You could also see the list of subscribers. So once you launch, you'll see the list of subscribers, and then you'll see their picture, you'll see their name, and you'll see if they're a second-degree connection, a first-degree connection, or a third-degree connection. And let me tell you something very important. With content that's posted on the feed, like your short videos, your polls, your text posts, all of that, the algorithm is designed to prioritize first degree connections. So these are people that have already connected with you. You've already connected with them. They're going to see it first. And if it's really good, it'll leak to the second and third degree connections. Because your LinkedIn newsletter gets sent to all of your followers, that also includes people that are not connected to you. So from the get-go, you will see on the list, maybe at first, like the first few days, it'll be mostly first degree connections, but eventually it'll be 30%, 40% second and third degree connections. This is very powerful because most of the time business will come through second and third degree connections and not just necessarily first degree connections, number one. Number two, when we talk about the live video event feature on LinkedIn, you can only invite people who are first degree connections. So the LinkedIn newsletter will close the gap because number one, it'll almost guarantee that the people that wouldn't have seen a post through the algorithm can see it because they're second and third degree connection. And then it'll ensure that the people that couldn't have been directly invited to your live video events could now be invited through you sending them an invite through the LinkedIn newsletter. And if you're understanding what I'm saying, put power in the chat because this is extremely powerful. Okay. Put power in the chat. So it really allows you to have direct access and guaranteed reach to second and third degree connections, which, like I said, is where most business will probably come from. And I'm going to answer all of your questions. Now, because there's so many different types of LinkedIn newsletters that you could publish, I'm going to get into the top 3 that I would recommend just based on a lot of data. And again, when you look at this is also powerful because if you see that someone is a second or third degree connection and it's someone that you may want to connect with, then all you have to do is, like, I could go to Augustine and then I can click connect, right? I see she's a leader. She has an optimized profile. She's a second degree connection to me. She has 500 followers. I can connect and I could also add a note. And the note could be as simple as like, hey, saw you subscribe to my LinkedIn newsletter. Let's connect. Does not have to be fancy because it's true. She did just subscribe to my LinkedIn newsletter. So if you have premium, you could send the note. If you don't, you could just send a connection request, and more than likely those connection requests will get accepted because it's the timing of it. Does this make sense? Put yes in the chat if this makes sense. So it's also a way where you could see like who's really active in your network, because one of the biggest things that people get wrong about LinkedIn is that they confuse open engagement for behind the scenes engagement. They'll say, oh, nobody's looking at my stuff. I have no comments. It's not working. And then they launch their newsletter and they're surprised because within the first hour, like big players are subscribing. What does that mean when somebody subscribes? It means number one, that they're active on the platform. It means number two, that they willingly clicked accept on your LinkedIn newsletter title. And they're like raising their hand. Yes, I want to learn more about this thing. And now it means number three, that they're going to receive your future stuff in their inbox. And they're saying that they want more of your future stuff. Right? So just because they don't engage on the feed posts does not mean that they're not willing to open the emails and engage discreetly, especially if they're a leader. They may not want that engagement to be public activity. So don't confuse feed engagement for behind the scenes engagement. And this is where the LinkedIn newsletter is also powerful, because they could read every single one of the editions and then reach out to you in the DMs. Okay. All right, perfect. So because I want you to increase the chances of you publishing consistently, I've created a few tools to help you. And actually, these tools were first created for our private clients and they worked. So now we're offering them available to you. And when you purchase the bundle today, so there'll be a link in the chat, you'll also receive access to 4 weeks of our coaching. So group coaching every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then you'll also receive access to join the monthly AI Mastermind, which is the last Friday of the month for 2 hours. And we basically go through the most pertinent, relevant things that happened in AI this month that you should be focused on. And in particular, for the AI Mastermind in January, we will be learning how to create an AI agent. So if you're interested in buying the tools that I'm about to break down and show you and go through for the different types of newsletters that you should be publishing to make it easier for you, all you have to do is click the link in the chat. One of the team members will put it in the chat. Okay. So the first thing to increase credibility is, if you have clients, you should be doing case studies. So, and I'll actually show you a few examples before we go into creating one live with the tool. So here's one example of a case study. And this is the case study newsletter. Now I was surprised actually with this data. I was like, yeah, case studies are going to perform for leads, but I didn't expect them to perform in terms of open rate, in terms of it being an outlier for being the most open newsletter, and it did. So here I just go through a case study of how we helped this one CEO add $24,000 in monthly recurring revenue to his business in 4 weeks. Okay, this is somebody who only ever did outbound. He built his business through outbound, and this was the result of him adding, content, newsletters, all of that thing, and putting gasoline on the fire with inbound. So I go through what he brought to the table, client background, the objective, what we worked on, a weekly breakdown of what we worked on, and then the results within the 4 weeks, and then what the next steps would be with a conclusion. And then, of course, a CTA. Okay, so this is one example of a case study. So you probably have a lot of clients that you've helped, and maybe you could break it down. Now, one question I get is, well, Shanae, I have NDAs, I have this, I can't mention the client's name. You don't have to. Let's say that you helped a CEO of a manufacturing company. That's all you have to say. I helped the CEO of a manufacturing company. The size of the company was XYZ. This was their problem. This was the process. You don't even have to mention the name of the company. All right. So here's another one. This is a client of mine publishing one of her case studies. And these case studies for our clients are probably one of the things that help get them clients in the least amount of time with the lives, of course. So, case study, new nurse secures critical care residency. So she breaks down, client background, objective, what the strategy was, what the results were, the conclusion, and how to inquire. And then, as you could see here, you know, she's already getting inquiries from the case study. Like, sounds like me and Lauren are in the same boat, except I don't have you yet, right? And Brittany actually did end up becoming one of her clients. So let's go to the next one before we create one live. This is another client of mine. This has actually been an outlier newsletter for her in terms of also impressions and all of those things, open rate. How Allie secured 900 grand in scholarships. Same thing, we go through the process, the wins, the objective, impact. And of course, like, these are real scenarios. So these work if you have clients and if you have proven results for those clients. Okay. Now, how does the tool help you develop the case studies? So let's click the GPT tool. And then all you have to do is, let's start. And it's going to go through a series of questions that it's going to ask you. So what's the client's first name you're thinking of? I'll do Maria. Maria. Let's see what thank you. What line of work is, so I'll say she's an executive speaking coach that helps corporate introverts speak better at work. Okay, how did you first hear about Maria? She joined a webinar and became a client. Okay, what was the very first thing? So she needed help with getting seen on LinkedIn. She had no idea what to post. The first thing we did was 30 days of video, and I helped her know what to post, what to say in her videos, and how to present herself. How long did it take? A couple of weeks. She started getting inbound inquiries within a few weeks. Can you share specific wins? So I'm going to say within 90 days, she went viral with the origin story we worked on together, and she was able to go from 2,000 followers to 100,000 in 5.5 months. What qualities did Maria bring to the process that helped her achieve these results? She did the work. She was also proactive and vulnerable. So if she felt down, she was open about it. If she didn't know what to reply to an inquiry, she would bring it up. She was very open. There are a lot of growth pains when you get a lot of inbound. So the first one was having to qualify the calls. And the second one was moving from calls to one-to-many webinars and then learning that skill. What impact has this work had? It changed her life completely. And you could get into details. I'm doing this for time's sake. Growth Academy Global. Where can people reading Maria's case study go to learn more? They can go to ugrow.club or email us at support@growthacademy.global. So it's going to go through a series of questions, and then it will create the case study for you. So here's Maria's background. Here's the results in progress. And I could go through the entire process that I would want to showcase in the case study. Client qualities and challenges, impact and experience. So it'll write the complete case study. And you could, I mean, if you have even just 5 client results that stand out, you could have 5 case studies today and publish one every single week. So if you understand the power of this, put yes in the chat. If you understand the power of this, put yes in the chat. And you could see the bundle pinned to the top of the chat, by the way. So I just pinned it to the top of the chat. Again, when you purchase the GPT bundle, you'll have access to 4 weeks of our weekly coaching. The next session is this Friday at 11 a.m. So it's every Friday at 11 a.m. You'll get access for 4 consecutive weeks, and then you get access to our monthly mastermind, which is going to be the last Friday of this month. And we will be learning how to build an AI agent. Okay, perfect. So this is one type of newsletter. The next type of newsletter is an educational type of newsletter, kind of what you would consider maybe see like a blog or, you know, something really getting down to the nitty-gritty of explaining. And I'm going to share an example here. So here's kind of what I would call an educational newsletter. So 3 ways business owners can win on LinkedIn. I go through, okay, here's the steps. Step 1, step 2, step 3, with a conclusion. These are longer, and then there's a PS. There's a call to action at the bottom with a PS. All right. Now, the reason why you want to incorporate some of these educational style newsletters is because you could potentially rank on Google through your LinkedIn newsletters. Do we understand this? That you could rank on Google for your LinkedIn newsletters. Okay, hold on. So here, if you see this, like I just put in like 4-day LinkedIn Masterclass 2 days ago. Here I am. Here I am here. This was 1 day ago, 2 months ago. So I'm ranking on Google for LinkedIn Masterclass, 4-day LinkedIn Masterclass, free LinkedIn Masterclass. And it's happening because of the LinkedIn newsletters. All right. So you don't just want to do like the case study ones. You also want to do different ones. Now, how do you build the educational style ones? Is really like if you have long form video, it's so easy. So we've built a GPT tool. It's trained to just turn your natural language into a newsletter. So I'm going to do this with a video that I created yesterday, and I'm going to do this right in front of you. Before doing that, I'll show you one more educational style newsletter. So here's another one. So this is how to become wealthy with government contracts. As you can see here, you always want to put a headline. So you want headlines, you want little bullet points. You want it to be semi-long, and then you always want it to end with a call to action. This particular client, all she does is drive traffic to her YouTube channel. So all of these hyperlinks are either other LinkedIn newsletters or hyperlinks to her YouTube channel. And again, that's her one place in what we defined yesterday. All right. So let's create one. So if you go to something, let's say you have like, you can do this with any type of video. So any type of video or audio file. You've been on a podcast, you have a podcast. Who has like a Zoom video here that they've done? A Zoom training, a webinar, uh, a Zoom meeting with another expert. Who has some type of video file that you can get the transcript from? Put one in the chat. Put one in the chat. And it doesn't have to be edited. You just need the words from it. So put one in the chat if you have any type of audio file, video file, anything. Training, Zoom. And I'm going to show you what to do even if you don't have that. Okay, but most of you do have it if you think about it. You've been on some type of audio podcast. You've had, I know all of you have meetings every single week that are probably recorded, all of those things. So I'm going to show you for time's sake how to do this if you have a YouTube video. What you would do is you would just like, all I'm doing is getting the words. So you could do this through multiple tools. But this is a YouTube video that I posted yesterday and it's 5 minutes. So all I'm doing is I'm going to grab the transcript. So this is just the words from the video that I'm grabbing. Okay. And I'm going, so we grab those words. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this GPT. And once you purchase the bundle, you'll literally be able to duplicate this into your Notion and have all of this at your disposal. So I'm just going to click this. And then all I will do, there's no prompting. These have already been trained. So as you can see here, like all I'm doing is just dropping the words that I said for 5 minutes. And this is very similar to what I said, because I'm like, people are not going to know if you're a real human AI. Like, you don't know what you're scrolling past. I talk about the distrust dilemma. I talk about how to stand out and earn trust. I talk about how to start with live video. Conclusion, and then I would put my name. And you could do this for hour-long trainings. So the longer, the better. Let me grab an hour. Hold on, let me grab a longer one. Because if it's longer, I want you to see what it will do. So I'm going to grab this. This one's 25 minutes. Hold on. So I'm just going to start again. Where is it? Okay. So I'm just going to paste this. This is a much longer transcription. And as you can see, you've been in the training. So it's honing down what I talk about, defining your one goal, defining your one audience for your newsletter, creating the appropriate title. And then what I could do is I could take this, I could go to LinkedIn, and then I just tweak it a little bit. A LinkedIn newsletter. Okay. And because I have a YouTube video based on this, I could embed the YouTube video. And I'll teach you how to do that. 1 second. So I could go up here. I could grab the video. And then here you see embed. So I could paste it. And I could add little examples. Can make the conclusion a little bit bigger. But in less than 5 minutes, I have something based on the elements of what I'm teaching in the training. Does this make sense? Put yes in the chat. So this is just another one of the GPTs in the bundle. You throw in your words. It's trained to identify like the top elements of what you're teaching and to make those into the headlines, and it's based on what you're saying, which is why it sounds more natural. And again, the reason why we created them originally is because a lot of our clients were like, every time we go to AI, it will like reinvent the wheel. But if it's your actual language, it'll stay within the elements and principles of what you teach. Now, let's just say that you didn't have anything. Like, let's say you didn't have a video. Let's say that you didn't know kind of how to record yourself or whatever. I'm going to show you what you could do. Do you want me to show you that, or do you know how to do this? Because I don't want to show you what you don't want to see. Do you want me to show you how you would get your own words even without a video or audio file? Yes or no? And how you would get it in like less than 5 minutes? Okay. So I'm going to show you. So what you would do is, hold on, share the entire screen here. So I'm sharing the entire screen. You see my screen, correct? And as you see, like here's my ChatGPT desktop app. So when you have a ChatGPT desktop app, you see the little audio thing at the bottom. All I'm going to do is say, hey, ask me some questions on why it's important to go live for founders. And I'll maybe stop it at 5 questions. I could ask it to interview me. And then I could just take that transcript and then put it in the GPT. Hey. Hey.
Hey, Shanae. How's it going?
Good.
What's on your mind today? That's great to hear. Anything specific you'd like to chat about?
Yeah, can you ask me some questions about how it's important to go live on video for founders?
Sure. Why do you think going live on video is crucial for founders?
Because I think it'll protect their business from becoming a commodity, because AI influencers are going to be more and more on the rise, and because competitors are going to create better and better content. So live video is the frontier. Less people are doing it, and if you look at Asia, they're usually ahead of the curve, like China's ahead of the curve social media wise, and they're doing like QVC live streaming all day. Also, some of the biggest thought leaders are predicting this as well. And I think it's just one of the most valuable skills that you can master now so that in 3 years, when your competitors are starting, you already have a community built.
That's a powerful perspective. Live streaming really can help founders stand out and build a genuine connection with their audience. How do you think founders can best prepare themselves to go live confidently?
I think the first thing is dedicating time every single week to practice and starting on a platform like LinkedIn because the features to go live are already on the platform. So you could invite up to 1,000 people every single week. And the people that you invite are already in your network. They know, like, and trust you. And LinkedIn's culture is very positive. So they're not going to look down on you because you're just starting to master a new skill.
That's a solid approach. Consistent practice and leveraging a supportive platform can make a big difference. What kind of content do you think founders should focus on when they first start going live?
I think a good place to start is just looking at the questions that some of your top 20% clients ask you in the beginning of their journey, and then doing one live per question and really going deep rather than wide. So, answering that simple question, maybe adding examples, adding steps on how to achieve that thing, and maybe even reviewing a case study if possible, but just going deep rather than wide, because the whole point of live is to prove that you're an expert rather than a generalist. So here, like I'm gonna stop this, right? And then now we have this whole conversation that I'm then going to copy and paste, and then we will have the words that I need, right? To use for the GPT. Does this make sense? Put one in the chat if this makes sense. So that's if literally you have no audio file, you have no videos, you could still share your opinions naturally with your natural language and then put it in the GPT and save hours of your time every single week because they're already trained to format it correctly. You don't have to prompt anything, you just have to click enter. Okay. Now there's one more. There's So there's one more type of audio file, or there's one more type of LinkedIn newsletter that you should definitely be creating. And it's the promotional newsletter. So let me show you. And for those of you who are here, the GPT bundle, that link is only available for today. You get all of the GPTs within the bundle. And you also get a content calendar. You get weekly coaching for 4 weeks. You get access to the group coaching. And then you also get access to January's mastermind. And the link is pinned to the top. So I'm going to show you. So another way that you could use the GPTs is to promote your live event. Okay. So if you have an upcoming LinkedIn live event, you could send a reminder or invites through your newsletter and get more people there, which is very important. We'll talk about that on day 4. But let's create some reminder newsletters or invites so that we could get more people to the live event. And then I'll start answering your questions. So let's just say, what's the title of the live event? I'll say how to start going live on video in 2025 for founders. It's going to gather information like it kind of did with the case studies. What's the date and the time? Let's say January 15th at 3 p.m. ET. Who is your event for? Let's say founders who want to start going live on LinkedIn. Any founder who is not willing to market themselves on video. Also for non-founders. How to set up the tech, how to present the info, how to repurpose the live. And then it would be the link from the LinkedIn event, but we'll just pretend. So it's going to say, do you have a transcript? I'm going to say no. And it's asking, is there writing style or tone? I just said no. Let's see what it says. So 7 days before the event, it'll create one. And you could use your LinkedIn newsletter to push this out. And it says, okay, if this looks good, do you want me to write the next one? And then we'll say yes. So 7 days, now it's creating 3 days. And as you could see, it changed like what it's highlighting, the words, all of that. And then next. Again, it's changing kind of what it's highlighting, the words and all of that, the date, the time, so that it's not exactly the same. And then it will even do a replay one if you have a replay to push out the replay. So again, this is another tool in the bundle. And I'll kind of go through what's included in the bundle, all of that, and then I'll start answering your questions. So when you purchase a bundle, you will get access to this entire dashboard. You'll be able to duplicate it in Notion or actually get it through Google. So there's like a Google Calendar version as well. You'll get access to a LinkedIn strategy GPT that will help you optimize your profile if you follow the instructions within it. You'll get access to all of these LinkedIn newsletter GPTs, including the one to launch your newsletter, the one that turns videos into educational ones, the live event promotion GPT. There's also the SEO GPT and then case study GPT. And these are all for your LinkedIn newsletters. You'll also get access to these content GPTs, which we will touch on tomorrow, but which basically take your natural language and allow you to create posts on LinkedIn that will increase your engagement, and as well as the content calendar. So if we leverage these GPTs, which you'll see me do tomorrow, I could have this entire content calendar of 30 days basically completed, other than shooting the videos within 25 minutes. It will create text posts, quotes, polls, the newsletters, the different styles of newsletters, and you basically have everything in one place within your dashboard. And you also will get the Canva template and our tech stack here. On top of that, you'll gain access to 4 weeks of the weekly group coaching starting this Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and access to January AI Mastermind, which is the last Friday of the month. And the link that is pinned to the top of the chat is only valid until today. Okay. So let's get to the questions. Okay. So Going up. Let's see. Because there's a lot. Uh, would it be beneficial to repost your newsletter as a post on your profile to ensure visibility for those who don't subscribe? So when you publish a LinkedIn newsletter, it will also automatically publish as like a post. So people on your feed can see it. Um, if you're asking like, would I copy and paste the material and also put it on my profile? It depends. It depends what the newsletter is about, and it depends if it's a performer. Ideally not though. Like let's say like I shared my story and it's long and there's a lot of text and emotion on my LinkedIn newsletter and that performed really well. That's something that could kind of be repurposed as a post. But would I copy and paste a case study and just throw it as a post? Probably not. Because for me, the utility of that is just much more effective reaching people via emails. Bro, this is crazy. Thank you. That's funny. Yeah, there's a lot to cover. If it is a conversation, how does it differentiate your voice versus the other person? So if it's like multiple speakers, you just have to say, I'm the person that's Shanae in the conversation, or let's just say I'm in a Q&A and there's a bunch of people asking me questions. I'll just say I'm the coach. Usually though, like just saying your name is enough. When we do live, does it automatically save it as a post? And can we afterwards save it and post to other social media channels? Yes, but we'll talk about that during the live session. Charlene, this is a good question. Should we care about the mix? Is there a suggested sequence per week of each type of newsletter? So I will always tell people like every brand, every audience is different. So if you publish like 2 LinkedIn newsletters that are educational, 2 case studies, 2 promotional ones, and your case studies for some reason flop and it's your educational ones with embedded videos that are taking off, then based on the data, I would tell you to double down on that if that's the case. So what you want to do is you really want to mix up. That's why we created the different tools. Each of them have like their own kind of lane that they run in and how they're going to transform your words into material. But you do want to mix it up, like especially the first month or two. And then after looking at the data, just double down on the ones that are working the best for your brand. So this is a good question, David. What strategies do you recommend for consistently creating LinkedIn newsletter content that not only engages readers, but also drives measurable results, such as leads or conversions? This really comes down to, like in most cases, the easiest way to do this is to do really good live videos once every week or once every other week. So you're doing 4 a month or 2 a month. And ideally, like if you're doing like this live video could potentially be 4 or 6 newsletters because there is so much to cover. Like I could do a newsletter based on what I've shared just on the title, like how to title your LinkedIn newsletter. I could do another one with how to create LinkedIn newsletters if you have no content, right? Because we got interviewed by ChatGPT. So ideally, like you have long form video content happening at least twice a month that could then be repurposed and used for those tools for the newsletter. Would it be beneficial? Okay, I answered that. Oh, this is a good question. If I have a small following, 2,800-ish, first of all, that's not small. Like 2,800 followers on LinkedIn is not small at all. The average CEO has 1,000 followers. So, like, I mean, if you get to 10,000 followers on LinkedIn, you're pretty much, it's like having 100,000 on Instagram. So I'll just say that 2,800 is not small. Should I start my newsletter now or should you wait? You should start it now. And the reason is because you can have up to 5 different LinkedIn newsletters. And so nothing is stopping you from starting now, growing your following. And let's just say you reach a tipping point and you blow up in a good way, right? So you go from like 2,800 followers to 30,000. You could always launch a second newsletter once you get to the 30,000 goal. And then obviously that launch will look very different. It'll have thousands and thousands of followers from the get-go, but nothing's stopping you from starting now. And yes, so much value for the price. Honestly, it is. It's $497. You get all of the tools in the bundle. You literally just get to duplicate that entire dashboard with the Notion calendar, all of the tools into your Notion, which is free. You don't have to pay for Notion. There's also a Google version of all of that. And then you also get 4 weeks of being able to join the Friday weekly group coaching, where you could come and ask me some of these questions and I could be able to answer you in more detail. And then the AI mastermind. So it's an insane offer. And that's why it's limited because, you know, you mentioned to change from feed to newsletter by clicking the pencil. I did not quite get that. So if you go to your activity section, most people will, when you go to their activity section on LinkedIn, you'll just see posts. But at the top, it'll say like post, videos, comments, whatever. If you click the pencil by your activity section and you have a newsletter, you are able to feature the newsletter as the first thing they see on the activity section. The live session on Friday is 11 a.m., Linda. Happy to see that you rejoined. Yes. Yes, we actually tested this live last time with Spanish. It does work with other languages. Purchased yours. Awesome dream. Can't wait to talk to you on Friday. Yeah, so this is a good question. You mean different newsletters for different topics? So it depends, right? It could be different topics. It could be different businesses. It could be different avatars. So usually how it works is like, for example, I have 2 clients that they get their business through 2 ways. So they have the B2B way. So it could be somebody that's in real estate that gets clients from realtors. All right. They're in a niche expertise. So one newsletter speaks to the realtor, the other newsletter could speak to the homeowner, another person, IP consultant. They could get their business through an M&A lawyer, but they could also get their business direct to founder. So one newsletter could be for M&A lawyer, the other newsletter could speak directly to the founder. So it could be based on topic as well. I could do live video on LinkedIn or live video for founders. I could also do short video tips for founders. I could also do LinkedIn newsletter tips for CEOs, whatever. And so I could section it based on topic or expertise as well. It really depends on the person's business. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Since my business is focused in Portuguese and Spanish and some of them English, all focusing the same topics, what do you recommend for my newsletter? Yeah, so this is interesting. I've a couple of clients. One in particular, she's a food and safety consultant, and she's originally from Venezuela, but she does business in the US, in California, and just throughout the United States. But a lot of her clientele even speak Spanish. So what she did is she has her LinkedIn newsletter in English, and then she just duplicates that content and has a Spanish LinkedIn newsletter on the same topic. So I've seen that work really well, especially if your audience is kind of split, or if you have evidence from being in the trenches that even the English audience, let's say that you're reaching, also speaks Spanish or may also have that in common with you, whatever. So I've seen that work. If I post a newsletter from my personal profile, how does that link the SEO to the company page? I mean, you could link it and kind of put it at the bottom, but I wouldn't think of it that way. You could just also do a newsletter from your company page as a secondary newsletter if you wanted. But I wouldn't depend on your personal to drive your company page in terms of SEO. What is the benefit of launching a second newsletter rather than focus on the energy of one? For most people, there is no benefit. For most people, it's just, oh, this is a glittery flower, and I feel like I need to do this. And then it becomes overwhelming, and they kind of slack on their first one. The benefit really becomes kind of like you're serving a second language audience, or you really do have evidence that you're serving a second audience. I've also seen it work for philanthropic measures where companies or CEOs kind of use the second newsletter to post what they're doing on the philanthropic side every month. So yeah. What's the best way to structure publishing multiple newsletters if we serve different niches and referral partners? So I kind of went through that. Yeah, I would need more context, but I kind of went through how it has worked with a couple of my clients. I'm an affiliate and network marketer promoting digital products. I specialize in video marketing and teach how to make money. How can I use LinkedIn as you teach to get the best results? I mean, I would kind of focus on the two products, or like the one product that makes you the most with the least resistance. And it really depends what that product is, right? So for example, if for me, that product, like let's say that product was a microphone, like I don't know what it is for you. I'd probably create a lot of content about starting a podcast or becoming a creator, and then the tech involved, and just so happen to have affiliate links to like the best tech that I really do recommend. But it really depends what the product is and who the audience is. So with more than one newsletter, which image do you use? Do you use your images? Yeah, use your images for all the newsletters, and you could change the branding. I have two audiences, small businesses, and should I start bothering newsletters right away? What's bothering? Publishing? I think you meant publishing, Ramona? All right. And again, I'm going to go through the bundle one more time because we're reaching the end of the questions, and then I'll answer whatever questions you have for me, and then we'll close for today. So just reviewing what you get for $497, which is insane. The link is pinned to the top of the chat, and it will be going away very shortly when we end the live. So it will also expire today. So you will get the instructions to duplicate. So if you're going to use Notion, all you would have to do is like click this little box that you see, and then this will stay in your Notion account. You'll get the challenge notes and the replays, so those will be added, as we go. You get the LinkedIn strategy GPTs, and this is actually funny because we had some LinkedIn like specialists join the coaching and get the bundle in December. And they actually use some of these GPTs for their clients, and their clients got calls and got results. So it definitely works. And then you'll also get the list of these LinkedIn newsletter GPTs. So you'll get the GPT to help you launch. You'll get the GPT to turn words, whether they're coming from your video or your audio file or your interview with ChatGPT, into newsletter articles that are educational. You'll also get the live event promotion GPT, which will help you create LinkedIn newsletters to send as reminders to your subscribers to join your live video events. And we're going to cover everything that you need to know about live video on day 4. And then the SEO GPT and the case study GPT, which honestly, the case study GPT alone is probably worth $497, just with the results that we've been seeing clients get from it. Then you'll also get the LinkedIn content GPTs, which I'll show in full motion tomorrow, which is where you put some of your words into these GPTs and they'll create polls, they'll get the best quotes, they'll create text posts. We just had a client who used the text post GPT for one of her posts, and she went viral yesterday. So I'll show that post tomorrow. And short video script writer. So it'll identify like great ideas that you could potentially turn into short videos that get attention. And then the live event GPT will organize an outline and start to organize a script for you for your LinkedIn live events based on a framework that we have seen to work over and over again with ourselves and with clients. You'll also get a Canva template to help you with the thumbnails, my tech stack, and the content calendar for January 15th to February 15th. And tomorrow I'll fill this calendar in 25 minutes using the GPTs, and even have scripts to then go film for the short videos that are in here. So it's basically like a whole cockpit or like dashboard to help you create content more effortlessly. And what this allows you to do is to focus more on video. Like if you had 80% less stress worrying about the newsletters, the polls, the text posts that you're going to post, you could then conserve that energy towards maybe one live video every other week that all of this could be created from. And through doing that, you get better at a skill that will really differentiate your brand and protect yourself from becoming a commodity. So this is really why we created it. We created it because it allows our clients to focus on the skill that matters most. And right now that's long form video and live video. All right. So that's number one. You get all of this, and then you also get access to 4 weeks of our weekly group coaching. The first session that you would get access to is Friday. It's Friday at 11 a.m., every single Friday at 11 a.m. You'll be able to ask LinkedIn questions, but a lot of the recent questions are also, well, what's the difference between a live event, and what's the difference between a live event and a webinar? How do I get people to come to my webinar? What should my webinar be about? How could I improve my LinkedIn newsletters? Some people bring their posts, and I just look at their posts on the spot and give them some tips to improve. And then you will also get access to our January AI Mastermind, where we will learn how to create an AI agent and learn all about AI agents and what you should know about them. And this is very important because a lot of the big LLMs like ChatGPT yesterday released something called tasks. So they will just naturally become agentic, which means that instead of you prompting it or training it, it will actually be able to do things for you without you being present, and you'll be able to schedule things. And this is probably 6 months to a year of being probably as popular as ChatGPT is today. And you should know about it. So we keep our community informed, and we teach in a way where even if you're a beginner, you understand what's going on and you don't feel lost, which I think is one of our greatest strengths. So if you want access to the bundle, to the community, and to the AI Mastermind, then click the link at the top of the chat. You'll have until the end of the live to purchase. And it's an insane offer for just $497. We made it as literally as affordable as possible. So I'll answer the rest of your questions, and then we'll head out of here for today. I'm a leadership dev and workplace culture consultant, and I have an email newsletter. What would be the best LinkedIn newsletter for me? Uh, what do you mean? What would be the best LinkedIn newsletter for you? Like personal or profile? Yes. So this is actually a good question. Can the live coaching start next week as this week? So, so it's at a different time than this training, but let's just say like you couldn't start the live coaching until 2 weeks from now. All you have to do is when you purchase, you just reply to the support email and say, "Can my 4 weeks of coaching start at this date?" And then they'll make sure that it does. Probably personal profile, Michelle. If you're asking between personal and company, it'll probably be personal. And what you would start with, I would have to have a lot more context, like what you do and all that. Thank you, Shanae. It came at a perfect time. I love this. So if you're going to be here tomorrow for day 3, put 3 in the chat. Now, remember, this is just one kind of mechanism of the LinkedIn machine. The mechanism, like the heartbeat of everything, is really content. Content will get new people to look at your profile. If your profile's optimized, then they'll go to book a call, or then they'll go to your LinkedIn newsletters, or then they'll join your next live event. But you have to earn that trust, right? You have to be known first before they get an opportunity to even understand whether you're credible or not. So, especially when it comes to growth, earning trust, the short video clips, the polls, the text posts, the images, the carousels, all of those things are going to really, they're going to be the heartbeat of your growth. And so tomorrow, what we'll do is we'll learn how to create all of those things and the pros and cons of each, what you should focus on. And then I'll show you the tools to make it super simple for you. All right. So if you're in for day 3, then put 3 in the chat and I'll see you tomorrow. How long do you have access to the GBTs? As long as they exist for life. Yes, them. That's a good question, though. You have access forever. Like once you duplicate, so I want to make this clear. Like once you duplicate to your dashboard, it's your dashboard, and then the GPTs, they're improved every month. Like you'll just, it's the same link though. You'll just use it and they'll get better and better based on the feedback. But like we've had people that the tech was such a problem, or the overthinking was such a problem. Even some clients upwards of almost 80 years old that are now posting easily because they have trainings, they are experts, they have transcripts, but now they don't have to think for 45 minutes about what poll to post, or how to make their LinkedIn newsletter perfect. It removes the resistance and it just gets people publishing. And if you remove yourself as a resistance, you just get seen more and you could focus on the things that kind of make you feel alive, like the videos, the meeting with clients, all of those things. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. I won't. So, uh, yes, this is a great question. And I'll probably be hosting another training completely separate to this one about this, because do we need another newsletter where we own the emails, or would the LinkedIn one be enough? I want to be very clear with my belief on this. It is proven in the data that online businesses, that the number one thing that you could do to increase the profitability of your online business is to grow your private email list. But I'm going to say, but I think that there is a time and a place to do it versus maybe it always being at the beginning. Because sometimes what I see is someone that's just starting a coaching business, they don't even know what a funnel is. Now they have to figure it out, a website, a funnel, a lead magnet, this and that. They're putting all their energy into that and they're not getting any clients because of it. I think that a good time to start growing your email list, if you don't know any of those marketing things, is once you have enough one-on-one clients that's pretty much predictable, right? You don't need a landing page to start growing your email list. You don't need a website to start growing your email list. Really, all you need is LinkedIn. And I'll show you how to do that through the LinkedIn live video events because it's pretty easy. So for example, if I went live on LinkedIn today and I showed you, oh, this is how I helped so-and-so grow. And then I said, hey, if you really want the breakdown of her case study or interview where we broke down every single step, just message me. Somebody messages me, or I say, hey, these are the 10 AI tools that I use every single day for my business, what I use them for. If you want my complete AI tools list, message me. And I've actually done this. People message me AI, then I say, okay, great. What's the best email to send it to you? And now I'm growing my email list without a landing page, without anything. But again, I think there's a time and a place, because if you do it too soon, it could overwhelm you and it could, like, you need that cash flow, the clients first. You need to build a real business before you focus on all the other stuff. At the same time, a lot of coaches and consultants wait too long. So a lot of coaches, consultants, small business owners that sell services, even ones that do upwards of $10 million plus a year, will come to me, and they've won all of these awards. They're doing $1 million or more a month, whatever. And I'm like, where's your email list? And they have not built an email list. And what if and ever you were to sell your company, a lot of the times, even a doctor's office, for example, is only really worth the data. And a lot of the value will decrease when the doctor leaves. So for long-term value and like worth of your business and stuff, you definitely want to. But it really comes down to like the skills that the person has, where they are in their business and what they're looking to do. LinkedIn is a phenomenal place to build your email list. You can start doing it today, even with a small following. And one of the fastest ways to start doing it is through live events. And we'll learn how to do that on Friday. So I hope that that did that answer your question? Alev? Yes. Okay. So, okay. All right. So this was a great training today. I will see you tomorrow for day 3. Day 3 is probably like the most fun day, because it's all about the fancy content, how you could go viral, the short video clips, all of the sexy stuff. So I'll see you tomorrow at 12 p.m. God bless you. And for everyone who joined, who purchased the bundle, I can't wait to see you in the weekly group coaching on Friday and get to know you a little bit better. Ciao.